All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this part two of our discussion about your aplastic anemia. All right, so let's begin. So now, in continuation of your aplastic anemia, we will now go to your management. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the management for aplastic anemia. All right, so first management is, of course, we all know that aplastic anemia is the failure or the pressure of the bone marrow. So the best management for aplastic anemia is to give a new healthy bone marrow through bone marrow transplantation. But remember, it's hard to find a donor that will match the patient. And there's a queue, right? There's a queue that we follow when um when we are trying to be a recipient for a donor. So there's a queue that must be followed. So it's not bone marrow transplant is a procedure that cannot be done right away. So while waiting for a bone marrow transplant, the patient is going to be needing recurrent blood transfusion. So that's the initial management, recurrent blood transfusion. So this is what we can do while waiting for a donor. Now, remember, bone blood, okay, blood contains iron. So if the person is always receiving blood transfusion, it predisposes the patient to iron toxicity. So again, if a person is receiving blood from time to time, that person is at risk of iron toxicity. So what do we do here to prevent How do we prevent iron toxicity in case of recurrent blood transfusion? Okay, there's actually something that we do, and that is called what? Chelation therapy. We perform what you call your chelation therapy. Now, chelation therapy is a um chelation therapy is all any therapy that removes blood or metals in the blood. That's the purpose of your chelation therapy. Again, they remove metals in the body. Remove metals in the body. And iron is a metal. Remember that. Another, we have your lead poisoning. Lead is a metal. Okay. So if we try to cure or treat lead poisoning, we also perform chelation therapy. Okay. Now, in the performance of chelation therapy, we use a chelating agent. Okay. When we perform chelation therapy, we use a chelating agent. Chelating agent. Now, each metal have their own chelating agent. In the case of lead, we have your EDTA or your EDTA. But in the case of iron, the chelating agent used is your deferoxamine. So we will administer deferoxamine to the patient that is receiving recurrent blood transfusion because or to prevent what you call iron toxicity. So this is your first management. Blood transfusion, recurrent, predisposing the patient to iron toxicity. To prevent that, we perform what you call your chelation therapy. Chelation therapy is a therapy or procedure that removes metals in the body, and the chelating agent used for iron is deferoxamine. So the agent used to remove iron, deferoxamine. All right, next, number two is your bone marrow transplantation. Okay, bone marrow transplantation, or we call it BMT. Okay, bone marrow transplant. All right, so again, what's the purpose of your bone marrow transplant? This is to replace your um, dysfunctional bone marrow. This is to replace your dysfunctional bone marrow. Okay. So bone marrow transplantation has three types. We have your allogenic, we have your syngeneic, and we have your autologous. Okay. So what's the basis of this type of transplant? It's based on where did the bone marrow comes from. In allogenic, it comes from other person. It comes from other person. Allogenic. Example, cadaver. Okay, a dead person. You can if the bone marrow of a dead person was harvested to donate to someone in need of bone marrow transplant. That's allogenic. Other thing is, syngeneic is from your twin brother or twin sister. Okay? And autologous is from yourself. Okay? From the patient himself. There are cases wherein the patient will be, what do you call this? They will collect bone marrow from a person, and then eventually it will be administered back to him. We call that autologous type of bone marrow transplantation. Okay. Next question about bone marrow transplant is, how do we perform bone marrow transplant? And this is a simple infusion or intravenous infusion. This is a simple IV infusion. That's how you administer bone marrow or perform bone marrow transplant. Okay. Next, pre pre-bone marrow transplantation, what will you expect to do, or what will you expect the doctor to order? First, pre is the patient is expected to undergo radiation therapy. The patient is expected to undergo radiation therapy, okay, or chemotherapy. The purpose of this is to eradicate. This is to what? This is to eradicate. Again, this is to eradicate your remaining bone marrow. Again, this is to eradicate remaining bone marrow and to ensure that there will be a space for the new bone marrow to be administered. Again, person that will undergo bone marrow transplantation expected to undergo radiation therapy or chemotherapy to eradicate the remaining bone marrow to ensure that there's a space for the new bone marrow. Okay, next, post. After bone marrow transplantation, there are two things you need to uh, pay attention to or monitor. Okay, first is what you call your graft versus host disease. Graft versus host disease, or we call this your GVHD. Okay, graft versus host disease. Now remember, if a person receives an organ, for example, kidney. When a person receives a kidney, the body tendency is to reject the kidney because that is not his own organ. Am I right? Yeah, I think you will agree on that. Again, if a person receives an organ that is not his own or her own, the body tends to reject that organ. Now, what specific part or entity in the body that rejects this organ? And that is your WBC. Now, who produces WBC? Your bone marrow. Now, in this case, the person receives the bone marrow, and that bone marrow will create a WBC that will attack the person or the recipient. So, when you say GVHD, it's when the bone marrow, that is the what they call this, the graft, which is the bone marrow, will attack the recipient's own tissue. So instead of the person receiving the bone marrow, rejecting the bone marrow, it's the other way around. It's the bone marrow rejecting the recipient's tissue. Okay, so this is when the bone marrow, which is the graft, attacks the host or the recipient's tissue. So it's the other way around. It's not the recipient who will reject the graft. It's the graft rejecting the recipient's tissue. Now, to prevent this from happening, like I said, okay, the um, rejection is a function of the immune system. So it's only logical for the doctor to prevent GVHD. The doctor is expected to order the administration of immunosuppressant. Why immunosuppressant? Because, like I said, rejection is the function of the immune system. So, if you will suppress the immune system, you will be able to decrease the risk of rejection. But again, I will emphasize the rejection is not the person rejecting the bone marrow. No, it's the other way around. It's the bone marrow rejecting the recipient's tissue. All right. Now, there are two. Okay. There is an indicated and contraindicated immunosuppressant. And indicated, the one that is usually prescribed is your cyclosporine. And the one that is not used, an immunosuppressant, but it is not used after bone marrow transplantation, and that is your corticosteroid. Now, why does corticosteroid or why is corticosteroid contraindicated? Because corticosteroid can cause what they call necrosis of your femur head. It will cause necrosis of the femur head, or we call this your aseptic necrosis of the femur head. Okay, we also call this your aseptic necrosis. Necrosis means death of the femur head. Asepsis means, or aseptic means, it has nothing to do with infection. It's the steroid or the drug that causes necrosis of the femur head. So that's why it's not used after bone marrow transplant to prevent GVHD. The one that is used is cyclosporine. So the first thing that you will monitor after bone marrow transplant is your GVHD. The, all right, the second thing that you need to check after bone marrow transplant is a complication called veno-occlusive disease. Veno-occlusive disease, or we call this your VOD. So what is VOD? VOD is the closure, permanent closure of your hepatic vein. So from the word hepatic vein, obviously, the organ involved will be the liver. So what will VOD leads to? Of course, it will lead to what? Liver failure. Because when the hepatic vein that supplies blood to the liver is permanently closes, therefore, it can lead to liver failure. So now what will be our intervention here? So this is permanent, right? So the best thing the nurse or a nurse can do here is for to what? Detect the condition as early as possible. So we'll place early detection here. Early detection. So how do you or when will you begin to suspect that a VOD might be developing? So again, remember the organ involved is the liver. So after bone marrow transplantation, you need to watch out for any indication of liver problem, which may include jaundice and of course your right upper quadrant abdominal pain. So if this manifestation is assessed after bone marrow transplant, it may indicate veno-occlusive disease. So these are the two main or critical condition that you need to assess or watch out for after bone marrow transplantation. So if you want to watch more educational materials, in like this that will help you pass your local board and your foreign exam like NCLEX. Make sure to visit our YouTube page and like and subscribe and follow our Facebook page for updates for future content. So again, thank you everyone. And again, this is RN Mentor where we help aspiring nurses to pass their local board and foreign exam. Thank you and good night, everyone. HD.